There's a peculiar message coming here. And Samson said unto them, Though you have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter, and he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. He dwelt in the top of the rock Etam, so he went up onto the high altars of the Lord. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah, and spread themselves in Laiah. And the men of Judah said, Why are you come up against us? And they answered, To bind Samson, as we are come up to do to him as he has done to us. Then the number three again. Well, that's a good, I'm just really excited here. That's a good speculation. The number three. Then the 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam, and said, Samson, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us? And he said unto them, As they did unto me, so I have done unto them. And they said unto him, We are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, Swear unto me that you will not fall upon me yourselves. And they spake unto him, saying, No, but we will bind thee fast, and deliver thee into their hands. But surely we will not kill into their hands. But surely we will not kill thee. And they bound him with 2 new cords, and brought him up from the rock. And when he came unto Laiah, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. What's today's date? 2015, the 13th of the 10th. Yes, we're dealing in the thousands. We are dealing the 13. Take away 3 from 10. From 13, take away 3. We leave with the 10. Yep, that makes sense. 2015, we take away. Yes, so the numbers are tallying here. So this is a live and dynamic prophecy going on here. So, and Samson said, With the jawbone of an ass heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. Now, does anyone know the sequence of an ass? Because we see the donkey quite often in the Bible. And I listen to people, and I haven't heard anybody say, I haven't really heard anybody say the importance of an ass or a donkey. But I have learnt through my visits to the Caribbean island. You know, if I want to know how to get a place, I go to the donkey and I ask the donkey to tell me. And can I tell you, the donkey always knows. The donkey can point me in the right direction. The donkey can tell me. The donkey knows everything that's happening on the islands. And I just have to go to the donkey and I say, Can you tell me if I want to go to the post office? And the donkey will point to me. I say to donkey, Mr. Smith, can you tell me which road do I go down to see Mr. Smith? And the donkey would turn and show me the road that I go down to. I've noticed that about the donkeys. They're very intelligent animals. The donkeys and the camels. When I went to Egypt, and I went up, I think it was Mount Sinai where Moses was, and I found the camels. They heard me. I started to speak to them in my mind, and they heard me. And I said to one camel, Hey, could you just watch it? You're walking too near to that edge there, and I don't like the look of the drop of the valley. All right. I ask you to come back in or put me down. Can I tell you, the donkey stopped, the camel stopped, and started to go down on his knees as if to let me off. And everyone looked and said, What's the matter with the camel? And I said, Okay. And in my mind, I said, Okay, camel, okay, I beg your pardon. You can stand up again. And the camel stood up. So the camel heard what I was thinking and obeyed me. And the people were so startled. The people were startled at the way, because the camels would only obey those who were looking after the camel. But somehow this camel and the camels around, they just kind of reacted to me, and the camel went down as if to take me off. And when I said, okay, it's okay, camel, and the camel rose up again, and they continued. And I just had to keep my eyes closed, because I don't know how they did it. The camels were just dodging the rocks, and they went right next to the edge of the the pathway on the mountain, and it was a steep drop down there, and it's either I was going to vomit, or I was going to faint, or I was going to just fly off there. And I just kept my eyes closed until until we got further down the mountains. So donkeys and camels are very significant. And I remember on that trip there was a lady who, because of the sand as well, she had a long thin scarf, chiffon scarf, and it was just like one of those movies, and the wind was blowing, and you can see her on her camel there, and the wind's just blowing the chiffon scarf, and the sand was swirling up. Yeah, it was quite nice and picturesque, but I just didn't like looking down that valley. So I realized two significant biblical animals, as the donkey and the camel. And I'm wondering if by now you can tell me what are the significance of these animals, because remember the Lord God made the earth, the heavens and the seas. So we saw Abraham riding the donkey and the camels. Yes, and then not only do they have water, and you also heard about the donkey. Yeah. So maybe from now you can understand the relevance of these animals, these traveling animals. Okay. So we're going back onto the ass. So Samson, he found a new jawbone of an ass, and he put forth his hand and took it and slew 1,000 men therewith. That's where the Philistines are going. He was prophesying on the Philistine. He was giving them a direction. They're coming to the end, and he will do it. He will slow. He will bring them down in thousands. He's going to bring them down. That was a prophecy that was going on. He was giving them a direction of where they were going to end up. So, and it came to pass. But the jaw is also, it has a biblical significance to it. So he says, and it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone of his hand, out of his hand, and called that place Ramaleh. And he was sore athirst, and called on the Lord, and said, Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant, and now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised. But God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. And when he had drank, his spirit came again, and he revived. Wherefore he called the name thereof Un-Hakor, which is in Lehi unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. So the Philistines were under the judgment of Samson through the Lord for 20 years. So to come under the judgment of the Lord, or to come under the judgment of God, couldn't be an easy time for the Philistines. Yes, so I guess they were full of vengeance or revengeance. They were full of hatred and big egos and pride, and the ego was they're going to overcome. They're going to overcome Samson. Yeah, they didn't want they didn't want the correction. They were going to find a way to overcome Samson. Can we relate that today? Can we say that we're seeing evidence where mankind or humanity doesn't want to take correction? Instead, they still want to be bigger than the situation. Yes, and they don't want to take the correction. Now, I don't want to spend too long, because there's something really vital that's come out of this reading that I want to give it its time. Yes, but there's not much time left actually. But we're seeing trumpets blazing. We're seeing different situation happening. As I said to you, we're seeing planes falling out of the sky, planes disappearing, ships sinking, earthquakes, we're seeing volcanoes, tornadoes, tsunamis, floods, as well as just the community. People are becoming, I would say, like the working class status people are becoming, they're coming out of themselves, and they're starting to become more democratic in themselves. And so there is some shifting is taking place on the earth, and it's affecting all realms of life. And there's evidence that there's new evolutions taking place. And people with their cameras have captured certain species just evolving into a new species, yes? So there's all these trumpet calls going on, but still, if you switch on the news reel, they're speaking as though it's a matter of fact, desensitized. And so is everybody else. You drive along the road, you walk, and everyone is just desensitized. They're not tuned in. They're not realizing that something major is about to take place on the earth. Nobody's stirring, nobody's prepared, nobody's saying, well, hey, if these floods are taking place here and there and everywhere, what will happen if the floods took place here? So there's no fail-safe going on. There's no preparation if something major was to happen in a local town. Everyone's going about their business or no business whatsoever. There's no direction, there's no guidance, there's no jawbone, there's no donkey, no ass here. Yes? People are ignoring. They're ignoring what's happening around the world, and they're relying on rulers and governors and newsreels who's not informing them, who's not giving them any knowledge. They're giving them wrong information, which is I call the mocking spirit. Yes, and I said the mocking spirit is a tomb consciousness, the consciousness of death. Yes. So it's a big mockery that's going on in our society right now, ignoring the signs, ignoring the trumpet calls, and just acting like normal. And we're not in normal. The earth is changing. The earth is undergoing a spiritual transformation, and people should perk up now. Don't wait until the last moment, because it will be too late. So, but what really, and actually, there isn't too much time. It seems like I'm going to have to, because I really want to just stay within a half an hour bracket right now. And I think I've said quite a bit of meat here. But the most important thing that really startled me, as my eyes glanced at the beginning of chapter 15, is Samson. And chapter 15 is Samson's vengeance on the Philistine. What I'm seeing here is, it says here in the King James Version, it says, but it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, the grain harvest, okay? And there was a time that I spoke about the grain harvest. I'd have to revise over this. That Samson visited his wife with a kid, and he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber, but her father would not suffer him to go in. And the New International Version says that later on, at the time of wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat and went to visit his wife. Yes, a goat. So a kid is a young goat. Now, what astounds me here, particularly as we went on and we heard about the fire. Let me see if I can find that paragraph where it talks about the fire. Verse 6. Then the Philistine said, who have done this? And they answered, Samson, the son-in-law of the Temanite, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion. And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. Now this is taking me to the burnt offering, and I was saying, like right at the beginning of Judge 13, when the angel of the Lord came to Samson's mother and then to mother and father, and they brought a burnt offering, and the burnt offering was, as I said, a sin offering for the sin that was going on, all the evils that was going on at the time. But it also meant that it was an atonement that was going on. So with the atonement, that means they became one with God. Yes, and I won't go. I already explained this burnt, the burnt offering. But here now, what comes in strikes me here is that Samson